I'm going to call to order the meeting of the East Brandywine Township Board of Supervisors, PM meeting Thursday, March the 19th, 2026. A recording device will be in use during this meeting. Opening of the meeting, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll remain standing, and we will have a moment of silence for fallen State Police Officer Corporal Timothy O'Connor, a resident of East Brandywine Township, a beloved neighbor and friend to many in our community. Thank you. Comments, public comments for agenda items. Rules for conduct of public meetings established by Resolution 2001-08. The time allocated to each individual making a comment shall be 3 minutes unless otherwise set by the presiding officer. Additional public comment may be granted at the discretion of the presiding officer at the conclusion of the meeting. Doesn't look like we have any comment tonight. The minutes of the previous meeting.
I make a motion to approve the previous minute meeting from March 5th, 2026.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All in favor? Aye. The treasurer's report, authorization to pay the bills and approve payroll. Are there any questions? I took a look at it and we've signed the checks.
Yep, I did as well, and I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report and the authorized to pay the bills.
Can I get a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Reports. We'll have our township manager's report at this time.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Included in your packet, and for the first time, I've not sent this by email because it was received yesterday, is the 2026 proposed resolutions and nominations report for the State Association of Township Supervisors Annual Conference, scheduled for April 19th through 22nd in Hershey. And the business session for that meeting will occur on April 21. Staff is providing this material in advance for your review. As no member of the Board of Supervisors is currently scheduled to attend, I will serve as the township's voting delegate at the business meeting. This per actions that were taken by the board at your annual organization meeting in January. This will be the first time that I've been the voting delegate to PSATs, even though I've gone to some 10 or 11 PSATs annual conferences. I've always been ranked by either a senior member of staff or an individual from the board. Because I'm the voting member, I'd encourage you all as members of the board to share any questions, concerns, or direction regarding the proposed resolutions in advance of the conference so that I can incorporate your views into the township's vote. And I would also like to reiterate or just remind everyone that invitations to attend the annual conference it's still possible to attend, and I would welcome your participation. I will reserve the balance of my comments for agenda item number 10A later in the meeting.
Okay. Is that it? Thank you, Luke. We will move on to the assistant manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Just a couple things for me. First, our less than 1 acre best management practice inspections. Last month, we mailed out initial less than 1 acre inspection letters. Additional letters are going to be sent to remaining property owners as we finalize our inventory list. And for those who have already received letters, we're going to be sending follow-up letters as well for those who have not yet responded to the self-inspection surveys. I will say we received a good amount of surveys so far and expect more now that the snow has finally melted. Just a reminder to residents, they can complete the self-inspection survey by either utilizing the QR code that links to the virtual survey, or they can complete the paper version of the survey as well. We've received submissions both electronically using the virtual survey and also the paper survey as well. It's just really whatever the resident prefers. Last two things that I have, the East Brandywine Parks and Recreation Board is hosting their annual Easter egg hunt this Sunday, March 22nd at 3 p.m. That's going to be at the East Brandywine Community Park. Registration for children's ages 0 to 10 will take place at the Terra Pavilion beginning at 3 o'clock. First egg hunt will promptly start at 3:15. And then the last thing for me, Bondsville Mill Park is having an Arbor Day celebration on Sunday, April 12th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's going to be by the Creekside Picnic area. The event's going to be a guided talk and walk with tree expert Kaylin Wiley, who will introduce visitors to several of the Arboretum's 32 trees and discuss their history as well as their ecological significance. And with that, that is all I have.
Thank you, Noah. We will move on to building inspection report, and I can read that into the record. Total building permits issued were 19. Total zoning permits were 1. Fees collected for building zoning permits were $46,163.79. We had a use and occupancy permit of 16. Inspections completed were 176. Failed were 7. Other fees collected were $592.50. The total fees collected were $46,756.29. Thank you. All right, and we're going to move on to the Township Roadmaster report.
Good evening, members of the board. I have an update regarding the Aspen Drive and Kristen Circle pipelining project. Recently, Mr. Rehab began getting detailed measurements for our lining project, and during that process, a discrepancy was discovered with one of the measurements. Pipe previously quoted for 76 feet of lining was measured at 215 feet. The previous cost of the project was $155,896 for a total of 415 feet on Aspen Drive and 230 feet on Kristen Circle. The total linear feet on Aspen is now equivalent to 554 feet, and Kristen Circle remains the same. And the revised total of the project is now $663, sorry, for a total of a difference of $17,767. After consideration and conferring with staff, I have signed the updated quote for Mr. Rehab so that there will be no further delays with the project. Materials for the project take approximately 4 to 6 weeks to manufacture. And for your recollection, the original line item or budgeted amount for the project was $200,000. Respectfully submitted, Derek Haas.
Thank you. I will move on to the East Brandywine Township Police Department report. Jeff?
Good evening. Just want to take a moment and thank the township, the road crew, and Luke for all the help with the planning involving the funeral and services for Corporal O'Connor. Anyone that was here yesterday, we had around 70 to 80 cops in this room to help us shut down the roadway, and it went very, very well considering the circumstances and the challenges we had. So thank you everyone for your support with that. I'd like to report that Cameron Whiteman, who we swore in during the morning meeting, is progressing his training well. Still has a ways to go, and I want to take a moment to thank Derek and his crew. We dealt with a lot of ice and snow during the month of February. They did a phenomenal job communicating with my staff, and we had no issues getting around the township to emergency situations. As far as statistics for the month of February, East Brandywine had a total of 2,197 events, 165 investigations, resulting in 5 criminal arrests and 1 summary arrest. We investigated 7 reportable accidents, completed 150 traffic stops, and issued 61 citations and 31 written warnings. We logged a total of 8,355 miles. Also during the month of February, the entire PD completed their mandatory Act 180 trainings, as well as recertified and less lethal weapons. And Sergeant Harnage and Sergeant Lemus are continuing their Command and Leadership Academy. That concludes my report.
Thank you. We will move on to the East Brandywine Fire Company report.
All right, good evening. We had 57 total incidents for the month, 34 fire, 23 medical. We had 9 fire and 8 medical in East Brandywine. We had 15 fire and 15 medical in West Brandywine and 1 fire call in Upper Euclid. We had 16, average personnel per response was 10, 16 for major incident types. We had fuel usage for the month of 180.6 gallons from East Brandywine and 135 gallons from West Brandywine, totaling for 315.6 gallons. No fires for the month. We had 4 trainings, average personnel of 35, and total training hours of 350. One last thing that I would like to add is we were the host of Troop J's mothers and wives for the funeral services yesterday, and so they organized pretty much everything on the food side. We provided the building, and we got some tables and chairs for them, tablecloths and things like that. But they kind of ran the show. We were there kind of in the background to help them out, but it was pretty incredible. I got to go to the viewing and the service, plus help out with a little bit of that, and just to say it was pretty incredible to see the community come together for something like this, and it goes to show you that there is still a lot of good out there that we can look upon, and I appreciate everything that the chief does for us as well. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, our next item would be the Minnequist Ambulance Report.
Good evening, Assistant Chief Mike Sarro. I want to thank Fire Chief over here for housing outside units in relation to the memorial and funeral. We had only 1 incident medical-wise throughout the entire thing, so coordination around the surrounding agencies, police, fire, beautiful. It went beautiful. I'll echo the chief on thank you for everything road work does. Made a lot easier even for the second tour. I believe Derek gave the paperwork for our call volume. I'm not going to read off however many calls we did, it's a good amount, but I will say we're holding at 3 trucks throughout the day and 2 minimum throughout the night. We will be hiring for another 2 medics upcoming, those that adhere to our character and standards. We did have to release a few that just weren't getting the job done. So I think every move we're making is in the right direction. We do have our first Mickey's annual award coming up next week. Very excited about. If you ever watched The Office, they do the Dundies. It'll be a good award, character building, just to celebrate everything our staff does. So, is there any questions for me? No.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Have a great night.
You too. Okay. I see nothing under old business. For new business, we have permission to hire public works employees. Derek?
Good evening. Public Works is requesting approval to hire Mr. Stephen Black to our full-time staff. Mr. Black is currently employed with Craft Buses as a driver. He holds a valid Class B CDL with air brake and passenger endorsements. Previously, he has been a groundskeeper. He knows maintenance, vehicle and equipment maintenance, experience with tree work. He seems like a well-rounded individual. Mr. Black is willing, able, and eager to become a part of our staff, and it is my recommendation to bring him on board.
I will add to the Roadmaster's report, when the townships makes offers, we make conditional offers of employment. There are always 2 conditions and sometimes more. In this case, one of the conditions is appointment at a regular session of the Board of Supervisors, and the other is the successful completion of a background check. So at this time, we're respectfully asking the board to satisfy one of those two conditions by appointing Mr. Black to the township team.
Well, and looking at his resume, I think he's what you're looking for, right there.
Yep.
Fits all the criteria that you need. So if anyone has any questions, any thoughts you want to add, I'd like to make a motion to move forward with the hiring of Stephen Black. I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, next item is the purchase of roofing materials for pavilion roofs at the community park. Derek?
Another request of Public Works on behalf of the Park and Rec is to purchase materials to replace 3 pavilion roofs within the community park. Last year, we replaced the craft pavilion roof for a cost of $8,035. This year, we expect the cost to be approximately $25,000 for the Tara, Pond, and Allison roofing materials. And again, with your permission, we will get the materials ordered when weather permits. Are there any questions?
I'm sorry, I'm also going to follow on that. There's a couple housekeeping items. Thing one, the dollar amount in excess of the bid threshold. On the advice of the township solicitor, this purchase falls under the maintenance exception for bid thresholds. So there is no need to competitively bid. And secondarily, as it relates to the source of the funds to be used for acquisition, I'm pleased to report that Parks and Rec was successful in getting donations to cover these
Expenses.
Yes,
Correct.
that's the word.
Well, that's real good news.
And just to clarify that too, that donation was specified to be used for the roofs, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
The roofs are indeed in need of repair as well.
Yes.
So you'll be replacing them, are they shingled roofs, Derek?
Yes, all 3 are shingled.
Okay.
But the replacement is standing seam.
You're gonna do
Correct.
standing seam,
Yes.
which will last much longer.
Yeah, it will mimic the craft pavilion, which we did last year.
Okay, great. All right, are there any questions with regards to this? Item B? Finding none, I get a motion to approve. I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the roofing materials for the pavilion roofs at the community park.
I'll second.
With the funds, the donated funds of $25,000 for that purpose.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, financial security release number 3 for Stone Mill Village.
Yes, included in your packet this evening is a letter from Pannoni, the township engineer, dated March 13th, recommending a partial release of the financial security. This is release number 3, and that project is not phased. So we're accustomed to seeing release number X of phase number Y. This is simply release number 3 on that village. The amount to be released in this recommendation is $518,089.71. If the release is approved, the remaining financial security for this development will be $1,100,571.61. So at this time, I respectfully ask the board to authorize staff to process this escrow release per the engineer's recommendation.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding the financial security release for Stone Mill Village? And you have Pannoni's letter, so I believe we are obligated to release number 3 of the financial security for Stone Mill Village.
I'll make said motion.
You get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. So we've got subdivision and zoning applications. I don't see anything there. Ordinances and resolutions for consideration. A motion to advertise amending zoning change 300 and 399, updating definitions and regulations. Luke.
So usually I say included in your packet this evening. I'm going to amend that statement slightly and say included in your virtual packet this evening, because it is a substantial document, is a draft zoning ordinance amendment. This evening, the board is being asked to consider authorizing the solicitor and staff to advertise this draft for potential adoption at your April 2026 evening meeting. This amendment is the result of work completed by a subcommittee of the Planning Commission. Members of that subcommittee included the chairman, Jim Buxala, former supervisor Carl Croft. Mr. Esty has made himself available to consult. I do not want to exclude anyone. Many individuals contributed to the draft, and they all have my thanks. Jay Fisher, important to recognize for his contributions, also former supervisor. The Planning Commission reviewed this draft and recommended its advancement at their March meeting. By way of some background, Chapter 399 of the Township Code is our zoning ordinance, and it's organized by zoning district, with each district containing its own statement of intent, use regulations, and area and bulk standards. Within each district's use regulations, uses are further categorized as permitted by right, permitted by conditional use, or permitted by special exception. While this structure clearly identifies what uses are permitted within a given district, it has historically made it difficult to answer the inverse question, which is to say, in which districts is a particular use permitted? Additionally, the ordinance has allowed certain uses to be defined or described differently across different districts, even though the township maintains a standard definition section, which in our introduction is referred to as Chapter 300, and in particular, the Chapter 300, Section 17 is the standard definitions. The proposed amendment addresses these issues by establishing a consolidated and uniform palette of potential uses. The uses are standardized and tied to a defined terms, allowing them to be applied consistently across all zoning districts while maintaining the existing structure of by right, conditional use, and special exception classifications. The definitions in 300-17 that are highlighted in the virtual packet item represent the complete set or palette of defined terms that are applied throughout the ordinance. While the primary purpose of this amendment was to standardize use definitions and improve administrative clarity, the board should be aware that in applying consistent definitions across districts, some changes to how certain uses are permitted may result. These are not map changes or comprehensive rezoning, but rather a product of reconciling inconsistencies in the current ordinance. It should be noted that the consolidated use table and the table of contents in your packet materials is provided for organizational and reference purposes and is not proposed to become part of the ordinance. But at this time, I'd respectfully ask the board to authorize me and the solicitor to advertise this for adoption at your April meeting.
So a couple of questions, and I guess I wasn't involved in the process, and I know it was lengthy, and I commend everyone for their hard work on this project. Mika had issued a letter, a review letter that was most recent, and she had some pretty, I thought, insightful comments on that letter. And I didn't know if any of those were incorporated or were able to be incorporated. That was my first question. And then I know that, a by right use of agriculture is in every district. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
Will you switch tabs to
Might
the
be
virtual
thinking of
packet?
timber harvesting.
Well, I'm actually thinking of agriculture.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I
then
don't know if
which
it's
one
permitted in every
please?
district.
Well, that's what I was wondering about. I didn't
Let's
know
go
that
to
it was
page 2.
excluded in a particular district.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
recall.
And not to get into the weeds on it, I have a question.
Project this as well.
But I could respond to the
Please do.
comments from Mika, and there were also some comments, I think, from Jim Luxon.
Yeah, and Jim made some comments as well.
The consensus was that we want to get this done,
Yeah,
and then we'll address those
Those
issues
other
as
items.
soon as we can,
Okay.
assuming that's what the board wants to do.
yeah.
Right, and my friendly amendment to that summary is I'm going to use a specific example. I won't cite all of her examples, but she noted as an enforcement experience, she has encountered issues with the definition of what an accessory dwelling unit is.
Yeah, I saw that.
And because we are sensitive to someone perceiving this exercise as trying to slip in a policy change, have been diligently protecting the boundaries of this project.
Sure.
And if we're going to make a public policy transition and say, we're going to, on purpose, deliberately,
Yeah.
change the definition of an accessory dwelling unit, that needs to have its own separate deliberation.
That would be under its own.
So I don't think that her advice is, I think her advice is excellent.
Yeah.
It just is a little outside the scope
Scope
of this
of this
project,
project, yeah.
which was about
Okay.
consolidating definitions, not changing definitions. Now, but the flip side of me saying, if we had a definition that said in one zone, a house is a yellow square, and then in another zone it said a house is a blue square, by consolidating the definitions, you are changing a thing.
Yeah.
So while I'm very sensitive to saying it isn't our intent to have substantive changes, the act of consolidation does change.
I understand. Yeah, and that kind of, I guess, it answers my second part of the question, which is the zoning for agriculture. And its permits, where is it permitted and where is it not permitted? And that, just is a general question for my understanding. My thoughts were you would allow agriculture pretty much any place that you have an area for it anymore, as things changed here in the township. But I realized that it states a 10-acre requirement to have a classified agriculture, and I guess this could be for the future consideration, but we're noticing that our neighbors to the west, West Brandywine, are starting to have some Amish families move in, and on smaller parcels, and they're doing vegetable operations and, fruit stands and vegetable stands and things like that. And, if we're able to have someone who wants to do that and they qualify, would we consider, and I guess this document is not for that purpose, but I just wanted to bring it up for this comment, as we start looking at the other things that Mika commented on. I realize she did comment with regards to the type of agriculture that could be in a district that was excluded originally. She was thinking about including it, or that was her comments in her review letter. But I just want to bring that up. If you have someone, or someone buys a property and it has 5 acres and they want to do agriculture, and we say, well, you can't do that. You got to have 10. That kind of counterproductive in my opinion.
Right. I'm going to address the agriculture in particular. And so if you imagine in a given district, and we have a table projected before us here, and just a reminder, the table is for our administrative use, not part of the final, if you could bring that up. And you go across for agriculture, you will see that it is in by right in all but 3 zones. And the way that would appear, and I'm going to use the reference, so I'm going to use the row agriculture and the column IR, or institutional residential district. And then I'm going to go to the permitted use sections, and the way it reads now and the way that it will read in the future is it says this permitted by right is one, agriculture, in accordance with the terms of 399.85 and 399.97. Those two sections, in particular, 399.85, there's not even a red line in the code here. We're not making any changes to 399.85. That's not even a section that's getting redlined. So what you're referring to as a discussion about should we consider having a wider definition of agriculture, again, I'm going to be agnostic on the should we, shouldn't we, because that's exactly what the Planning Commission and the board exists to do. What I will assert is that it's outside of the scope of this project.
Okay. That's fine, thank you. Appreciate the answer. All right. I guess we can move on advertising this amended zoning, chapter 300, 399. Anyone like to make a motion?
So moved.
So we'll make a motion to advertise amending zoning chapter 300 and 399, updating definitions and regulations. So I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
All right. So we have notices. So at this time, we have any public comment on non-agenda items? Seeing none. Notices. There was an executive session held on March the 5th to discuss legal matters. There will be an executive session following this meeting to discuss real estate matters. I have a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.